Hello everyone and welcome back to the Perfunctionist channel. So you'll find me here today out in the field on a gig. There's a stage, and the reason I'm out here is because I'm kind of busy this weekend, so I need to try and get this video done, and it's a nice change of scenery. Why not do it where most of the information I'm giving you is going to be used? So what are we talking about today? So I'm using my HX Stomp today, and I've had a problem with it recently, and I've found a fix for it. It's a problem I didn't actually know I had. So, what was the problem? So normally what I've got, in fact, I'll tell you what, let's jump over to the HX Stomp. Right, so there's the HX Stomp. In fact, here's my setup I've got today. I've got this little kind of satellite board here. I might do another video on this setup, actually. It's one I'm trying in this band. But let's get straight to the point. So on the HX Stomp, what I was having, you've probably seen before that I have this little dual switch on the side here, which gives me a couple of extra pedals. So I've got the 3 foot switches here, then I've got foot switch 4 and then foot switch 5. And the problem I was having was that foot switch 4 wasn't doing anything. And it turns out there was a problem that is fixable. I thought there was something wrong with the switch itself, the foot switch itself, but no, it turns out it's something in the HX Stomp, which is, and for all of you eagle-eyed people out there, you might notice that my switch is different to the one that I normally had there. And the reason I got this one was because I thought the other one was faulty. So I thought it might be something to do with the switch or maybe the cable. So I swapped the cable out. Always good to have a spare TRS cable, TRS patch cable for this kind of setup. And it didn't make any difference. So I thought there was something wrong with the switch itself. So I bought this one to replace it. Turns out I didn't need to, because it is the problem is actually in the HX Stomp. So before I show you what the problem is, I need to set this up. So what I didn't notice was the problem arose when I updated the firmware to the 3.15 firmware update. And what happens is that certain things in the global settings get reset, which which consequently meant that foot switch 4 wasn't working anymore. So let's look at how to fix that. Right, let's change the view. Let's go into the Stomp box view. In fact, I'm not even sure if it matters. So basically, in the global settings, let's go to global settings. Page along, I'm not sure how clear that is. Global settings is this one here. Yeah, I know you can't see it because it's so bright. Let's go to global settings. And there's 2 things you need to do. First of all, let's change hands. I'm going to scroll along until I get to preferences. There we go. One of the person, of the head. And I need to change, let me scroll along again. I need to change to expression/FS tip. And that is currently set to FS4. But it defaults to expression 1. So we need to change that to expression 4. That's the first thing we need to do. And that already will fix the problems that I was having. And obviously, if you're having this problem as well, that should hopefully fix it for you if you've recently updated to the 3.15 firmware update. All right, the other thing you need to do is, let me scroll along to foot switches. Okay, so here we want FS4 function to be set to Stomp 4. Mine was already set to that, but I think if you have a brand new, or if you haven't used the foot switch before, that might be set to something else. So make sure it's set to Stomp 4. If you scroll along, yeah, make sure FS5 function is set to tap tuner. And that's if you want to have this set as your tap tempo and tuner. And now I have that as set as my foot switch 4, and I usually use that for my delay sounds. So now I can kind of activate my delay using this extra foot switch here. And if I go back to this kind of performance view, I'm using the method I talked about in a video a couple of weeks ago, where I've got 3 snapshots available, and I can go from so this one's currently set to clean. I can go to my solo from here, go back to clean, or I can go to crunch, and then go to solo from the crunch. So basically, each of the 3 snapshots is available with a single touch. And that's using the stacking technique that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. So check that video out if that interests you. And it gives me an extra foot switch here for my chorus. And yeah, I do have a Riverside there as well, but I'll talk about this setup in a separate video for you to, well, you can kind of figure out what's going on here, but I'll explain it again in detail in another video if you want me to. So yeah, if you've had that problem, I hope that's helped fix it for you. Let me know if it has or not. Welcome back to the studio. So apologies for the lack of continuity. I did record an ending in that venue, but it didn't seem to record for some reason. I might have pressed the wrong button. But anyway, I was going to come back here anyway because we've got comments coming up in a moment. But yeah, so in short, that video was how to fix the problem with your foot switch 4 button if you're using a dual foot switch in conjunction with your HX Stomp. So just to summarize, if you've recently upgraded or updated your firmware to the 3.15 firmware update, this is where you may have that problem. And as I said in the video, I initially thought there was something wrong with the pedal or potentially the TRS cable that connects it to the HX Stomp, but no, it was to do with the firmware update that I'd recently implemented. So it's quite a quick fix, quite a simple one. So if you're having that problem, then I hope this video has been helpful to you. So some quick shout outs from last week's video about the stiff knob. All right, Cynical Viking has basically just done too long, didn't read a message, basically summarising the whole video in his comment. So if you're strapped for time, just want to just quickly find out what the video is about, just read his comment and it will explain it to you. Thanks for that. Duke Skellington has said, in 40 years of playing, I've never had this happen. What could cause it to happen? I'm not the expert on the ins and outs of things like this. I'm sure there's other people who kind of know what would cause the volume knob on your guitar to get stiff. I'm sure it's something to do with the fact that I use the volume knob a lot and I don't really use the tones as much, so that's why they're not sticking. Also, that was my second volume knob to be put in there. The shop that I got it from kindly replaced it, presumably with the same make and model of volume pot, and it's still having this problem. So I'm not sure if it's to do with the brand that they're using. Maybe I should switch it out for another brand. I'd actually like to put a treble bleed in there while I'm at it. So maybe I'll do that little kind of change. But as to why it's happening, I'm not sure. Maybe it's collecting dirt and it's getting stuck. I had a gig, the gig that you saw the video on at the beginning. I started to feel the knob getting stiff again, and it's only been maybe a couple of days or so, or a few days since I fixed it. So it looks like it's going to have to be something I'm going to have to actually replace. Plus, I also noticed that if you can just nudge the knob a little bit, not even turning it, just kind of move it a little bit, sometimes the level will drop. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to replace that volume pot. Well, there you go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and please consider subscribing because it really helps the channel out. And yeah, subscribe for more videos on things like the Helix, the HX Stomp, other guitar bits and pieces. I want to do some more Helix alternatives or some ways we can use the Helix, especially the Helix, the HX Stomp, because it's quite a small piece that can be integrated into with other pieces of gear. So yeah, keep an eye out on this channel, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good week.